It's the Morning Cruise on the Joy FM.
If you want to text a question or comment this morning while we're on with Joel and Luke, you can do that. 1-800-456-8910. They're coming in. Can't promise we'll get to all of them, but we'll keep an eye on that for you.
We've been playing a lot of your Christmas music because we are your Christmas music station, but Burn the Ships is new. We haven't talked to you since it came out, so we want to hit a couple of those as well. And one of the ones I want to talk about, it's actually early in the album. Joy, we've all heard. Joy, great video, by the way.
Thanks,
how comfortable was that harness?
The harness was very, very painful. Like, you know when you see people flying and doing all these tricks in movies, you're like, wow, that's really, really cool. Until you're the person doing it, and then you're like, Lord have mercy.
And doing it over. So for those listening,
not fun.
we were, it's like rock climbing basically. You wear these harnesses because there's a portion in the video where we fly. The thing you don't realize is you do it over and over.
And then sometimes you got to hang for a little while. There's one scene, there was one part where we were singing verses.
Hey.
Yeah, and they're holding you.
My
and you think that there's something miraculously taking the weight off. Well, if you weigh however much you weigh, you feel that in very tight quarters.
And it's a thing where like when they yank on it, it's not like a soft little ginger, that you're flying in the air.
It's a quick takeoff, right?
Yeah, Joy, that actually helped us get to the notes.
Yeah, that helps you get to the notes. Yeah.
I did notice that I guess the harnesses made maybe one appearance during the concert tour, and then they were gone.
Yeah, one show.
Yeah,
one show.
One
show in Europe. We've talked about bringing them back.
They're just not very comfortable.
Yeah,
they really are not. I was absolutely surprised. So then we're there and we're talking to all the folks that do this for a living, and they're like, yeah. And I'm sitting there complaining at like 20 seconds, guys, this is unbearable. And the lady was like, yeah. Well, occasionally we'll have to do these tricks for whatever movies, and we stay up there for 30 minutes,
40 minutes, an hour.
Yeah.
And I'm like.
You're like, no.
There's just no way. I mean, how do you have any blood going to your legs? I don't know.
It makes me want to go back and watch the video again now.
Yeah,
We used to have members of the Flying Melindas live near us and used to come to our church occasionally. And for some of our Christmas stuff, we would actually put somebody up. And, when they lowered the guy down to be healed through the roof.
Yeah, he needed healing.
We'd put that up. And then occasionally we'd have a Jesus ascend. It's like we stopped doing that. It was just... So
It would just really be awkward to have Jesus ascending going, ouch, ouch.
So
it just would ruin the whole thing.
part of my job one year was to take the guy off the harness that had been lowered for the healing, and my finger got caught in the clip and almost took my finger off with it. It was so it was interesting. It was
You
great.
would have been the man with a withered hand at that point.
I would have been. I actually did leave blood on the stage that year.
There you go.
Right after Joy
Yes.
is another song. This is the one I want to
Bring
get
it back.
to.
We got
Bring
her.
it back.
All right.
Tell us a little bit about God Only Knows.
God only knows.
Yeah, it's good that you've taken something so much
I
laughter
know
to
God
something
only
so
knows
serious.
why I decided to go there after this
Yes.
conversation.
Okay, we'll reset. Go ahead,
Okay,
Joel.
so God only knows. God only knows. Well, since we've been together, I became a United States citizen.
Yeah.
last
We
year.
Congratulations,
saw
by the way.
that, yes.
And I'm
Hey, guys.
milking it for all it's worth.
Guys, it
I
only-
think
You do.
sharing it, yeah.
It only took him 27 years.
Yeah, it took me. I'm just glad I passed the test. It's a hard test.
What'd you
only
make
took
on-
him
what'd you make-
27 years.
What did you make on the test?
Oh, flying colors. Oh yeah.
Does
I
it
did
give
well.
you a grade like
you
ABC?
have 10 questions, and if you answer 6 right, you don't do
So if you get the
any
six-
more.
first six
the
right,
first
you're
6
done.
right,
Yeah. Okay.
and I got the first 6.
Okay,
right.
one really
nice.
quick story. Then we're gonna get back to God Only Knows.
Yes.
This was during Share-a-thon a couple of years ago, and I've always had trouble with the states. How many states do we have?
Oh no.
And because I always think we have 50
Hasn't
states
really changed.
plus Hawaii and Alaska, so we have 52 states. And I'm saying this, I'm like
Yeah.
in the course, I'm like, oh, we've heard from Montana, we've heard from New York. Oh, eventually we'll hear from all 52 states.
Oops.
Someone calls. They call in, and one of the phone operators down in Phone Central, they call and they said, I'm headed right now to take my test to become a U.S. citizen, and I think it's 50 states, and the woman on the radio just said 52.
And
Which is it?
she
in case-
failed. She failed because of Carmen. Oh no, Carmen.
If it were possible to revoke citizenship,
But you know what? What's fascinating to me about that is she's so convinced about 50, and then these other 2 states are just additions. Like they weren't real.
Right.
Like there's 50, and then Alaska and Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Those poor Alaskans and Hawaiians, they got a bone to pick with you.
Just for the record, it's 50 states. We have 48, and then those 2. So
There
anyway,
you go.
Back in the
Back
50s
to-
when they added those
Okay,
two.
God only knows.
God only knows. So, Burn the Ships as an album is. I'm trying to keep the train going here.
Tough work this morning, huh, Joel?
Welcome to
focus,
my world.
focus.
Welcome to my world.
It's a spiritual record, obviously, and it's a romantic record and mentioning our wives, but it's also it's kind of a social album as well. And God only knows definitely kind of plays into that ideology. I just loved the phrase "God only knows" because it's something that we culturally throw around so flippantly, but when you really dive into it, it's actually quite profound. You know, some say, "Oh, God only knows why this kind of stuff happens," but when you really dig into it and you look at, man, actually that's kind of right. Here we are, our little finite, we judge each other. We walk into a coffee shop, someone's having a bad day, we write them off, and yet God, if this is all true, God who has the hairs on our head numbered and knows us intimately better than we know ourselves, and has probably, if there was anyone that had a right to judge, because he knows the intent of our heart, would and should, but doesn't. And once we started getting into this idea, just thought, what a profound thing. And then you start undoing this concept of, looking at American. 20% of Americans in the 80s claimed to be lonely. Now in 2018, it's almost 50%. And yet that's been the technological age, particularly with smartphones and devices. We're communicating more than we ever have in the history of mankind. And yet it seems like we're more disconnected than we ever have been. And so it's a song, and we did a music video that really kind of played into the severity of it as well. But it's a song that really is a central theme of the album. And even tonight, we'll play it tonight. And from that first little sample, it's amazing to see how people have just grabbed hold of this thing and have made it their own. The stories already about suicide or, the bullying or whatever it might be, the people have really rallied around it. So it feels like a profound one for sure.
Here it is. Scott Only Knows for King and Country on the Joy FM.